Hello and welcome to another episode of the Startup Sessions. It's been a few weeks, so it's lovely to be back. And back on the day that the kids are broken up for the school holidays. My hubby's just come home. He's off for a few days. So there's a definite holiday vibe going on. So in fact, I nearly poured myself a glass of wine to sip while I spoke to you, but I never got around to it, which is rather sad. But anyway, I shall struggle through. So I won't start just yet. I've come on a little bit early just so that I can hang around and see if anyone wants to hop on live. And while I do that, I shall do my usual check to make sure that I am in fact live. Those who've been watching these for a while will know that over, I was going to say the years, it probably hasn't been quite years, feels like it sometimes, over the months that I've been doing Facebook Lives, I have experienced a number of technical issues. I have recorded what I thought was a whole Facebook Live, only to get to the end and realise that for the whole thing I wasn't actually live at all, so I had to do it all again. I've recorded an entire Facebook Live without realising that my microphone wasn't working and that no one could hear me. So yeah, I've had my technical problems, but hopefully tonight will be smooth sailing. So if you are joining me live or if you're watching the replay, give me a hello, give me a thumbs up or a like, and let me know that you're here. It's always nice to see a bit of audience participation. Makes you feel a bit less like you're talking to yourself. So tonight's episode is all about making more money. And let's face it, who doesn't want to make more money with their business? The reason I'm talking about what I'm talking about, and I'm not going to go into too much detail yet because I don't want to give away too many secrets before I really get started. But the reason I'm talking about this is because it's something which I see surprisingly little in the other kind of business and marketing content that I see online. And yet it is a fundamental part of the marketing process. And so without it, there's no wonder that so many people are struggling and that so many people are having difficulties to market themselves and ultimately to make money. And so I thought it was about time that I gave some highlight to this particular topic and kind of shone a light on it, because if it's something that you haven't come across yet, it could well be the reason that you're not making money in your business, and it could make a massive difference once you're able to implement it. So if you are struggling to make money and you can't understand why, then stick around because I'm going to be laying down some exciting breakthroughs for you and your business. So I'm going to give it a couple more minutes before I properly get started. So let me introduce myself. My name is Colette Broomhead, and I'm a startup strategist, which basically means that I work with people who are trying to build an online business, doing something they love so that they can quit their 9-to-5 for good. And the reason that I do that is because I went through that same process myself. I left a 13-year corporate career back in 2016, basically because although I actually loved the company I work for, I loved my job most of the time, I felt that I was actually getting more and more trapped. The further up the corporate ladder I went, the more trapped I felt. I was having to work longer hours, I was having to travel more, and I was spending less and less time with my family, feeling more and more stressed, more and more trapped, and less happy. And it finally dawned on me one day that I had no idea what I was doing it all for, what I thought the kind of end goal was going to be that would make this all worthwhile. And within a few weeks of that realization, I had handed my notice in. And now I have my own business. I'm able to work around my family instead of the other way around. Just this afternoon, I was able to go and see my son's Easter play at school, and I had missed so many of those when I was in my corporate job. And I'm happier, I'm freer, I'm doing what I love. It doesn't feel like a job anymore. It just feels like another element of my life, and an element that I feel passionate about and that I enjoy. It's completely changed my life, and so I want to be able to do that for as many people as possible, because I really do believe there's so many opportunities out there today, more than ever before. There is such a massive opportunity to really completely change your own life, and to kind of change those sort of set stereotypes as to how we're meant to make a living, getting the sort of the 9 to 5, your way up the corporate ladder. It doesn't need to be like that anymore. And I want to help as many other people as possible to see that and to experience that. So that's who I am, and that's why I'm here. And with that, let's get started with tonight's episode. So tonight is all about one big reason why people are struggling to make money with their online business. And as I mentioned, this is something which I very rarely see talked about in the kind of business and marketing content online. And I think that's a crying shame, because I think it is a really fundamental part of the marketing process. And without it, your marketing isn't going to be as effective. So what am I talking about? I am talking about customer journey. It doesn't sound very exciting. It doesn't sound like it's going to give you any massive breakthrough, but believe me, it really, really will. And here's why. First of all, let's talk about exactly what customer journey means. It can be called customer journey, customer life cycle. There's a number of different ways of describing it. But essentially what I'm talking about is the journey that your customers or potential customers take in order to buy from you. It's only when we start to think of it as a journey that we realize that our marketing plays such a big role in that. The way that we market to people should depend on where they are in that journey. Just as if you think about your personal relationships, the way that you speak and behave with someone will depend on how well you know them. You're going to, speak and behave a lot differently with, say, a sibling or a parent than you would with someone you've just met today, down the local grocery store or whatever. You behave differently because you're at different stages of your relationship. And that's just, that comes naturally to us. And yet it's not something we necessarily think about in terms of our business and those business relationships that we have with our customers. And we should. So if you think about yourself, when you go to use a business, when you're thinking about buying something, very rarely will you just go and buy something that you know nothing about, from a business that you know nothing about. Buying is actually an emotional decision, and there needs to be certain things there in order for us to feel comfortable to buy. So let's talk a little bit more about that. So my notes are over here, so every now and then if you see me glancing over, it's so that I don't forget to say everything. So let's talk a bit more about why customer journey is so important and what a difference it makes. And I'm going to tell you a bit of a story. I'm going to talk to you about when I first started my business. So I mentioned that I quit my corporate role back in 2016. And at that point, I had decided that I wanted to do copywriting and kind of social media consultancy. And I was lucky enough that I already had several clients lined up and ready to go by the time that I left my job. And that wasn't because I was some kind of sales whiz. It was because I had approached people that I already knew. I'd approached friends and colleagues who knew me, who trusted me, who already knew my work, and so felt happy to work with me because we already had a relationship. There was already like and trust there. If instead of going to friends and colleagues first, if I had gone and say, put an ad on Facebook or cold emailed small businesses and said, hi, I'm Colette, I'm just getting started in copywriting, I'd love to work with you, the results would have been much different because those people didn't know me. They didn't know who I was. They had no reason to trust that I would be any good. And so they would be much, much less likely to say, yes, I'd love you to be my copywriter, than someone who's a friend and a colleague. When you hear it like that, it's logic, it makes perfect sense. And yet we don't necessarily always think that way in our own business. So that's why customer journey is so, so key. When you're planning any of your marketing, any of your content, it's really important to think about who your customers are and at what point of the journey that they're at. And because that's going to alter the way that you speak to them and the messaging that you use and really everything that you're doing. So let's talk now about how you can how you can use the customer journey in your business, because you might be listening to this thinking, yeah, I get what you're saying, Colette, but I have no idea how I can take that concept and put it into my own business. I don't know how I would make that work. So let's break it down and make it really easy and actionable. Everyone with me so far? Let me see if we've got any comments or anything like that. No. If you are watching this either live or in the replay, and you have any questions at all, just let me know, and I will be happy to answer them. And if they're in the replay, of course, I'll pop back and answer them then as well. So let's talk about how you can use the customer journey in your own business. Now, to break it down really simply, the journey that we need to go on in order to buy from someone is that we need to, first of all, know who they are. We need to know that a business exists in the first place in order to buy from them. Makes sense. Then we need to like them. We actually need to feel some kind of connection with them, that we actually want to know more about them and we want to have something to do with them. And then ultimately, we need to trust them. If you're going to hand over your hard-earned cash to a business, you need to trust that they're going to give you something. They're going to keep up their end of the deal and give you something worthwhile in return. Okay, so this is what's known as the know, like, and trust factor. And you may well have heard of that before. And that is the basics of the customer journey. That is where you need to take your customers. So you need to think of people in those 3 different groups. So you've got a whole group of potential customers out there who don't even know you exist yet. So your first job is to get those people to know that you're there. And so that's going to take one kind of marketing. Once people know you exist, then you need to take them to the next level and you need to let them know a bit more about yourself, and you need to start to kind of deepen that relationship a bit and help them to like you, to feel a connection with you. And so that's going to take a slightly different type of marketing, different type of content. And then lastly, once people are interested in you, yeah, they kind of like you, they want to know a bit more, that's when you can start really getting in there and building trust, building credibility, and getting to the point with those customers where they would actually feel happy to buy something from you. And that stage is going to take yet another different type of marketing, another different type of content. And if you can start to think in those terms, you will find it so much easier to create your content, and you'll find your content so much more impactful because you're talking to people in an appropriate way, as opposed to what you might be doing now, which would be the equivalent of going up and talking to a complete stranger in the supermarket the way that you'd talk to your mom. Which would come across as a bit weird and a bit full on. And that's what happens so often in marketing, because people are doing just that because they haven't thought of it in terms of taking people on that journey and building that relationship. I hope that makes sense. Let me know if it does in the comments. So how do we do this? So let's go back to the first stage. How do you get people to know that you exist in the first place? Well, this is really where your kind of content marketing comes in. So things like blog posts, podcasts, videos, and I'm not suggesting you do all of those things, but some kind of free content. You've all heard of that before. You all know that that's something that, as an online business, you should be doing. You should be producing some kind of free content to attract potential customers. Pardon me. By creating this content, what you're doing is you're then putting it out there and you're allowing people to find you through the content that you're creating. So for example, if you are, well, let's talk about me. Let's talk about me. So my ideal clients are people who are getting started with their business. So those are the people I want to attract. So of course, I'm going to create content that those people are likely to be looking for, because that's how they're going to find me. So that's why I create content around how to get more traffic to your blog, how to get started with blogging, how to build your email list, and all of that kind of stuff, because that's the kind of stuff that people who are just building a business are looking for. And so if I've created a ton of really valuable content on that, people will find it, and through that they will find me. Okay, so that's stage one, helping people to know that I exist at all. I create content that they are looking for. So think, whatever your business may be, what type of content are your ideal clients looking for? And then create that. Step two, once they know you exist, you want them to connect with you. You want them to like you. Now, this is a tricky one, because you don't want everyone to like you, and that is what our instinct is we want to try and create something that's going to please everyone, because let's face it, we're all human and we all want to be loved. In your business, that won't work. You need to attract the people who are your ideal clients, but you actually need to repel, not in the most not in the kind of aggressive sense of the word, but you want to kind of push back on the people who aren't your ideal clients. So every time you're creating content, you need to be thinking, is this content going to be something that will help me feel connected, or help my ideal clients feel connected with me? And the people that aren't my ideal clients, perhaps not so much, because that's fine. You want your ideal clients. Those other people don't matter. You're not right for them. They're not right for you. So an example of this might be, again, talking about me and my business. The people that I'm trying to attract are, like I said, people who are just getting started with their business. But let's take it a bit further than that. I like working with people who are for who family is important. Family is really important to me. It was a key driver into why I started my business in the first place. So I know that I will connect really well with people who have those same values, and for whom, that they want more time with their family. They're struggling perhaps with their working hours at the moment, and feeling like they're missing out on family time. I know that I can connect with those people because I've been through that myself. People who for whom family, perhaps they don't have a family, or they're not bothered about family right now. They're more interested in going out and traveling. They perhaps won't connect with that so much, because we don't have those shared experiences, and that's fine. I'm also not at all a woo-woo kind of business coach, and there's tons of those out there, and that's fine. And they will attract those people. That's not for me. I take a much more kind of practical approach. And so I won't necessarily attract those people, and that's fine, because the other people who aren't woo-woo will probably feel more attracted to me because of that. So kind of think about that. It's fine if by being you and attracting your ideal clients, you're also kind of pushing some people away. That's fine. You can't please everyone, and you shouldn't try, because by doing that you're just watering down who you are, and ending up not really attracting anyone. Hope that makes sense. So what kind of stuff are you creating that's going to build that sort of likability and those connections with your ideal clients? To a certain extent, it's still that same content that we talked about before. So the blog posts, the podcast, and all of that, because all of that allows your personality to shine through. It allows you to talk about those values, to talk about the things that are important to you, and to find that common ground with your ideal clients. So all of that content is great for that as well. Of course, you've also got social media content, which is a great way to really do more kind of personal stuff. And kind of behind the scenes stuff that's going to allow people to see who you are, what you feel strongly about, and so on and so forth, and help them get that connection with you. So any of that type of content can be really valuable for just building that connection and that likability. So the key here is to make sure that when you are creating content, you're always conscious of letting you shine through. So this is where it can be really dangerous to start sort of copying other people's styles, or trying to be too much like someone else. It's great to get inspiration from people you admire, but always stay true to you, stay true to who you are, what you believe in, because that's how you will attract the right people to your business. And then when we move to the final stage, so that's building trust. Now, how do you do that? So what you're trying to do here is take people to the next step. So at each point of the journey, it's not just a case of kind of creating the content and then leaving people. You need to take them by the hand and take them to that next stage. So, for example, in your blog post or your podcast, you're going to always have some kind of call to action. It's a bit of a marketing term there, but it's fairly self-explanatory. It's basically saying, you need to explicitly tell people what you want them to do next. So to get them to the next point of their journey. So, for example, once someone has found one of your blog posts, they now know who you are. You want them now to start to build that connection and to grow to like you. And so what might they do to do that? You might ask them to come and follow you on social media, for example, so that they can see that more personal side of you. You might invite them to comment on your blog so that you can have a conversation with them and build the relationship in that way. There's a number of ways of doing it. So think about what you want that next step to be for them. It might even be just reading more of your blog posts so they get to see more of your content and get more value from you in that way, or a combination of any of those things. So think about, for you and your business, what might the next step be for people to help them to like you and to connect with you. And then once they've done that, the next step to take them on the way to really trusting you is asking them for some kind of small commitment. Now, up until this point, basically you're providing all the value, and they're just enjoying it and getting to soak in all that value from you and think, wow, this person's great, they're helping me so much. But at some point, you want to see that there is this kind of element of trust. And to do that, you ask for an email address. And this is why email marketing is such an important part of any marketing strategy. Because again, what you're doing is you're offering value. You create a lead magnet, create a freebie, whatever you want to call it, and you're offering that to someone, and you're saying, in return, you give me your email address. And you know that anyone who signs up and gives you their email address trusts you. It doesn't take a lot of big commitment. It doesn't take a huge amount of trust. It's just an email address. They're not giving you any of their money yet, but it's just a small sign to say, yeah, okay, I trust you enough that I'll give you my email address. It's a small commitment, and it's a great sign that you know that someone is interested enough in you, that you can start, they're progressing through that journey. So email marketing is such a brilliant tool for just taking people to that next step. And of course, not only is it because it's a sign of commitment, but also it's an opportunity to get into their inbox and to really offer more value and to really build that relationship, to share more of yourself, and to start to nurture that trust that you really want with your customers and potential customers. So that final step is really to create content such as lead magnets, which is going to get people onto your email list, and from there building that relationship through your welcome series and through your ongoing email communications, whether those be daily, weekly, monthly, whatever your audience prefers. And then that is where you get that trust. And then once you've got your email list, it's generally speaking through email that you will make the majority of your sales and the majority of the money in your business. And so once you can bring that all together, that is when you start to see the magic happen, and that's when you start to see more money coming in. So if you are struggling to make money in your business right now, then take a look at how you are treating your customers, and are you breaking it down into a journey like that, or are you treating everyone the same? Are you going up to the complete stranger and talking to them like they're your mum? Okay, I hope that has been helpful. Before I go, I want to talk to you about a fantastic offer that I have on at the moment. So you may already know that I'm about to launch my membership site, Your Business Lounge, my baby. I'm so excited about it. The membership is designed, of course, for people who are just getting started or who want to start an online business. So people who are still working a 9 to 5, who are going through that whole kind of juggle of trying to build a business, trying to work, family, friends, hobbies, the whole kind of fitting everything in, the completely feeling of overwhelm, of not really knowing what you're meant to be doing next, working all the hours but not really feeling like you're making much progress. I've been there. I totally know what it feels like. And this membership is designed for people who are just in that situation. It is designed to take away the overwhelm, to make things simple and actionable, to give you support so that you've always got someone there. It's a great combination of one-to-one support. So there's an element of one-to-one coaching with me. There's also an element of group and mastermind support with other members of the membership. There is self-study in there as well, so that you get access to the entire library of all my courses and resources, templates, swipe files, and all of that good stuff. There's so much going on in there. It is a fantastic resource. I'm incredibly proud of it and incredibly excited to see it starting to grow and flourish. And I would like to invite you to become a founding member. So before I launch properly in April, I'm inviting people to come join me now as founding members. And by doing that, you get a 50% discount. So you can join at just $9.99 per month, with the full launch price being $19.99. If you're interested, I will leave the link in the comments. The offer ends at the end of the month, so that's midnight on Saturday. So there's only a few more days, 2 more days left to take this offer. So if you are interested, I urge you to go and check it out now. If you have any questions at all, let me know. I'm willing to hop on a call with people, give you a quick tour. So if you'd be interested in that, let me know too. It is a real opportunity, I'm so proud of this offer. So get in there. You won't find anything this cheap, and it won't be this cheap for much longer. So do get in there, and that's it. So I hope you found this helpful, and I will see you again next week for another episode of the Startup Sessions. Take care.